Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Morning, hello. It is Monday, the 17th of March, and I'm up at the plot. I'm letting the birdies out, so I thought it might be nice for you to join me this morning, and we can let the birds out together. So let's see. Come on then, who we got? Come on, ducks. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Ooh, someone's been laying eggs. Hello, girls. So Roland is not with the girls at the moment because he's a little bit too full on this time of year. And ladies are getting squashed. Good morning, ladies. We don't want any squashed ladies, do we? Right, let's get this door open. Okay, everybody ready to start the week. Okay, big rush. What they don't know is that I've bought them up some... Oh, hello, Goose. I've bought them up some... Come here, darling. I know, Goosey. I've bought them up some warm scrambled eggs for breakfast, so they can have that. They've got some spring greens as well, and an apple, which is a nice breakfast. And I thought I'd do a bit of work up here today. So once I've got these guys out and set up and breakfasted, we will get on with putting our string out, perhaps even a little bit more weeding, and generally just cracking on, because I was in the greenhouse yesterday. So I was busy doing that, so I feel like I've caught up with the sort of indoor stuff, and now it's time for some outdoor stuff. Right, let me go. Hey, Roland. Let me go and hand out some breakfast for everybody, and I'll be back shortly. Hi, I'm on the plot. Very exciting. I have been so busy. There is so much to tell you. The first thing to tell you actually is that the cornflower seeds and the sweet pea seeds have germinated, and I was so shocked. It happened a couple of days ago actually, so it's Tuesday the 18th today in the afternoon, and it happened a few days ago. In fact, it happened over the weekend, and I drew the curtains back and I saw them and I thought, oh my goodness, you guys are up, and they're really going for it. They're clearly really loving being indoors, and this is the great thing about cornflower seeds. You know, they really want to go. You know, I said about once you get annuals out of the packet, they're off straight away. They don't mess about, and the cornflowers prove that point exactly. Now, nothing else has come up, but that's okay, because I think it's pretty quick for the cornflowers to be up in the first place. So I've been busy sowing new seeds as well. Got my amaranthus in. I used the seed that I harvested from last year's plants. I didn't sell all of them, and so I let them go to seed completely. And I thought I would give those a go this year, because they did very well up on the plot. And I think that if you can harvest seed from plants that have really flourished in your soil conditions, it's even better. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys will turn out like. Plus, I've been doing some herbs for myself. So I've got some parsley in, some basil in. And great news, I found that packet of broad bean seeds that I've been on a hunt for 4 months. We've been playing hide and seek. I found it. I was beyond excited. And they have also gone into cells, and they're also inside, so that we don't have any mice-related incidents. I've been busy up at the plot. So I've put string around all of the new beds. Okay, 3 of the new beds, because the 4th bed is kind of right at the bottom of the space that I've got, my growing space, and I need to do a little bit of clearance before I actually put the string round. Otherwise I'm just going to be knocking into the string and knocking it over. And so when I've been finalizing these new beds, I've had to move some of my perennials around. So I've got them now in rows of 3 across the whole bed. So I've moved all the Achillea. In fact, actually, no, the Achillea all stayed in the same place. The Eryngiums have moved around. The Verbena bonariensis have moved around. And I've planted out some foxgloves that I've been cultivating. And then, what else? Oh, dug up some, I think it's Rudbeckia. It's either Rudbeckia or it's Helenium. Maybe it's Helenium. So I've dug those up and moved them as well into the beds. So the first two beds are actually filling up dangerously fast with perennials. And that's all been really, really productive. I've got 4 peonies that need to go in the ground. So I bought these from one of my neighbours last year, and they're very small and they didn't do anything last year at all. But I'm hopeful that this year they might do something. So it's all kind of coming along nicely. I've got an enormous stack of hazel branches that we coppiced, these 2 huge hazel bushes. They were like trees. They hadn't been coppiced for the last few years. So we've done that, and they're just all in a stack ready to be used. And I did have a couple of fence panels in situ that I had earmarked for growing this sweet peas up. And then I was messing around on the plot this morning, and I thought, I'm just going to rearrange a few things. And then what I've ended up doing is just rearranging masses of stuff. So what I had right next to my trial beds last year was this kind of overflow area of plants, shrubs and plants from my own house that I couldn't fit into my garden. So I brought them up here, and the chickens kind of just lived around them and made dust baths at the base of them and used them for shade in the summer. And I got to enjoy the flowers, and it was fine. It was like a little tiny garden, only it wasn't my garden because there was no space for me to sit in it. And I was looking at it this morning thinking, oh, I could really do with this space. This would make a really big difference. So I took the dividing fence panels down, and Roland, my beautiful cockerel, gave me a hand this morning. He's very friendly. And so I moved the fence panels out of the way and just opened up this entire new triangle. And then, of course, all the plants were in this new growing area. So I had to lift them all and either replant them or put them in bags and take them home so that they can be shoved into a border somewhere. So I've got a few salvias and what else? A few other bits and pieces that I just shuffled around. So anyway, the point is that I've got this wonderful new growing space that, because the chickens and the ducks have been on it for a couple of years now, they have decimated everything. There's not a blade of grass. There's virtually nothing left in there. And they've just dug and scratched and cleared it all out for me, basically. And of course, they've also pooped all over the ground. So it's been super well fertilized. And I think that I'm going to use that area as an overflow for annuals and also put my own vegetables in there, because I always grow veg every year. And I would like to keep it separate from the cut flowers. I might do a bit of intercropping possibly. But the area where all these shrubs and plants has got a few nettles still remaining. So I don't want to put any perennials in this new area because we don't want the nettles to grow up through the roots of the plants, which is what's happened. So when I took this Helenium or Rudbeckia up this morning, one of them had got a nettle that had grown right up the centre of the plant. And so what I did was split it into about 4 separate plants, and then I could just tease the nettle roots out of it. But this is why I don't put the perennials on ground that I haven't meticulously got every single root out, because you just make life much harder for yourself down the line. And although I don't have a problem splitting plants at all, it's fine. There's no point just letting the roots be consumed with nettles or any other type of perennial weeds that you've got. So that's everything that's been going on. And I've been sort of looking at these beds now thinking, well, I've got 48 square meters, sounds quite a lot to me. How much am I going to devote of each area to each plant? And then I suddenly thought, yeah, I really don't have enough space. So I'm sort of looking around everywhere for where I can pinch a little bit more space for things. And one of the other things I've been thinking about this week that I wanted to talk about today was marketing. So I was actually sat on the loo the other day and I suddenly thought, my goodness me, what happens if this florist, who I have this arrangement with, that I'm going to grow and sell to her for all these weddings that she's told me about she's doing this year. I thought, what if something happens to her? Like maybe she has an accident, or she's ill, or she just stops the business for some reason. You know, any number of things could happen, which means that she doesn't end up needing any flowers this year. So I thought, I'm going to have to climb out of my comfort zone again and have a bit of a backup plan for what to do with what I'm growing. Never a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket just in case anything goes wrong. So what I'm thinking about doing is revisiting the florists that I sold to last year and just go and stick my head through the door and say hi, and this is what I'm doing this year, and these are the plants I'm going to have and the flowers. And it's going to be a more hesitate to say professional setup, because there's nothing professional about it whatsoever, but you know what I mean. It's not like trial beds where I really was just tinkering around last year. So I think I'll do that. And then, because I know the florists in my local towns, I'm equidistant between two reasonably decent sized towns, and I know what their style is like, and I don't think that my flowers are going to be quite right for them. If you've listened to earlier episodes, I was talking about finding a florist to work with who has the same kind of style that you do. So if you like, or if you're going to do really a more formal style, so very, very straight stems, just a particular style that's going to fit in with very formal florists, then that's what you should go for. If you're going to do more of a cottage style, more of a relaxed style, where you've got maybe stems that are a little bit twisty, and you're going to be doing much more floaty, soft flowers, then it's a good idea to go and find a florist that works in that particular style, because everybody's got a house style that they do, and sometimes you can tell just by going along to the shop and having a look at what their bouquets look like. Otherwise, you could go on their Instagram or their website and see what kind of work that they do. So I'm going to have to go a little bit further afield and identify some more florists who are going to perhaps be more of a better match for what I'm going to be growing, because that is the style that I am going to be doing. And whilst I am 100% committed to doing proper staking this year, I'm so ready for the staking, I just know how I operate, and I suspect we will get twisty stems and just different kinds of flowers that are not going to look like something that you'd have in a hotel lobby or hotel foyer, for example. So florists that do that kind of thing, not going to be for me. So that's what I'm thinking, and I'm going to be doing that over the next month. I think I need to get that organized and at least have made contact and gone and put a face to a name, and then when I go back in a couple of months or ring them or email them, then they might remember me and be more amenable to working with me, rather than I just turn up at peak season and be like, oh, would you like 50 stems of this? Because they may have already done their orders and not need anything. So I'm going to have to put my big girl pants on and do that, because going out there and selling your product is not the easiest thing for me. I'm much more comfortable in the plot, getting my hands dirty, actually making everything grow, than I am out there pitching it to people, which is why I was so excited when I met my florist that I'm going to be working with this year. And she was really, really wonderful. And it just felt like a really, really easy relationship from the off. You know how you meet some people and you just think, oh, well, that went okay, but it was a little bit stilted and maybe the connection wasn't quite right. And then you meet other people and it just flows. It's absolutely effortless. And, sometimes as women, I think we either vibe with people or we don't. And if you don't, you can still have a working relationship. But if you do, then it's a much more natural, organic relationship, and it's so much easier to get it on. I don't know whether men have this issue. They seem to be able to just do business across the board, and they don't seem to think twice about it. But I've certainly noticed a difference in how I do my business. You just sort of really instantly connect with some people, and other people not so much, and other people not at all. So that is the next big thing that I'm going to be working on. And I'm telling you so that I will have to report back on it, because I thought if I don't tell you about it, I might get away with not doing it. So full disclosure, I'm telling you about it. And in a month's time, I guess I'll have to report back on what I've actually done. So the rest of this week is forecast to be really beautiful, very hot actually. By Thursday, I think we're having 18 degrees centigrade, which for March is pretty amazing. And so I'm hoping to get a lot more of the beds actually cleared and completely weed free and looking really, really nice at the same time as sowing more seed. I keep finding trays everywhere, which is brilliant. No more of the roast chicken leg trays, but larger plastic trays. That's very handy. And I've got some more perennials to bring up from my home that I actually bought in the sale at my wholesalers last October. And I didn't bring them up over the winter. I thought I'll just babysit them at home. So I've got a hydrangea, which I splashed out and bought one of those, and just one, mind. So we'll probably get 3 stems. I think it had 3 stems on it of cuttable flowers when I bought it. So hopefully that will pay for itself long term. And then I've got an astrantia and an agastache or agastache. Yeah, I need to Google how you pronounce that one. But I've got an agastache blackadder, which was a very beautiful plant last year. And I actually let it go to seed. Oh, excuse me. I swallowed a fly. Eesh. I let that go to seed at the end of last year, and I've harvested the seeds, so I'm going to sow some of that. But again, with perennials, they're not going to flower this year, and so they'll be for 2026, which seems like an awfully long way away, but at the rate we're getting through March and this year, it'll be here in about 5 minutes. Right, well, that's all I had to tell you for today, I think. I'm going to be carrying on, as I've just said, with bits this week, and I will be back on Thursday or Friday to let you know how I've got on. So I hope that you have a lovely rest of the week wherever you are, and I'll catch you later.